Hello and welcome back to JW's Dugout. John here. Thank you guys for tuning in. And before we get into today's topic, which is Hall of Fame postcards, I've got a quick confession to make. For the last 3 decades, I have been obsessed with one thing in particular, and that is Cooperstown, New York, and the National Baseball Hall of Fame. I love Cooperstown. I love the museum. I love Main Street. I love the lake. I love the atmosphere. I love it all. And I don't think you really understand. I was telling my wife the other day that we should retire there. Now keep in mind, I'm only in my 30s, so I still got, at least another 25, 30 years to go of my work life. And naturally, she, of course, knocked that idea down rather quickly. But really, I think it's ingrained in my DNA. I'm a native New Yorker, as is my wife, as is our entire family. I've taken countless trips to Cooperstown over the years, which leads me to those of you who have not been to Cooperstown. If you haven't, you need to make a point to do it. Book the trip, plan the itinerary, get out there. If you're a first-time visitor, I would actually recommend you go in the winter. I know that's kind of probably not a popular opinion, but in the winter it's desolate. There's really only a handful of people at the museum. It gives you a real nice opportunity to go in and look at all the different exhibits without having to fight off the crowds, if you will. The only downside is the shops, including the baseball card stores that are along Main Street, are likely to be closed, depending on which time you go in the winter. But it's still worth it. But I've also been there in the spring, and I've been there in the summer. I was there for 2018 induction weekend with Chipper, Jim Thome, Vladdy, Hoffman, Jack Morris, Alan Trammell. Actually, one of the best induction weekends in a long time. It was crowded. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of people congregating on this small little hamlet of a town in upstate New York, and it doesn't matter, it's hotter than hell. It can be uncomfortable sitting there on the lawn for hours at a stretch, but it's worth it. There's just something unique about Cooperstown. You feel the energy, you feel the excitement for the game of baseball, the history. During that weekend, I can remember I was at one of the shops with my then fiance, now my wife, and naturally, I always keep up with what's going on in the world of Atlanta Braves baseball. And I remember pulling out my phone to watch the tail end of the Braves game because at the time, Sean Newcomb, of all people, were on the mound. He was on the mound and he was in the middle of a no-hitter. He had taken it into the 9th inning. There were 2 outs. I remember pulling out my phone, and other baseball fans around me must have honed in and knew that Newcomb was getting very close to a no-hitter. So they actually gathered around my phone. This was a different time period. We're talking 2018, so not everybody had easy access to, MLB TV on their phone. And they all, there was probably like 6 or 7 people around me. We were all sitting there watching to see if Newcomb could complete the no-hitter. Naturally, he didn't. He lost it with 2 outs in the 9th. I think it was Chris Taylor who hit a single. Braves still ended up winning. But he lost the no-hit bid. But I think that is just kind of like a microcosm of Cooperstown. Everybody is just super obsessed with baseball, and it's just such a great place to be. But really, I digress. But a couple other things that I will mention. When it comes to Cooperstown, favorite spots, Doubleday Field, which most of you probably know, Yastrzemski Sports, Mickey's Place. Those are 2 fantastic baseball card shops there. Omegang Brewery, which if you haven't been there, if you haven't tried Omegang beer, one of the best breweries in the country. The list really just goes on, and this is just my plea for you to book your trip. Don't put it off. Plan it, get out there, and head to Cooperstown. I think what really kind of sparked this opening monologue, if you will, is a podcast that I've really been enjoying lately, and that's it's a podcast called The Road to Cooperstown, which if you're a baseball fan, you're probably familiar with. It's hosted by John Paul Morosi, who is a prominent reporter, has been for a number of years, and basically it's what it sounds like. It's very, very in-depth interviews with Hall of Famers. Really meaningful conversations, hour-long conversations of great insight and great stories of how they came up, what influenced them throughout their playing days, what are they doing post-career, post-baseball career. It's just excellent conversations. And last night while I was at the gym, I listened to the latest 2 episodes. First one was with this guy here, Pat Gillick, who is the former GM of the Phillies and the Blue Jays. And then the other episode, probably my favorite episode to date, is this guy here, Ted Simmons. And Ted Simmons is one of my favorite baseball figures, not necessarily players, because I wasn't necessarily around for his playing days, but the fact that he is just one of the most eloquent and reflective and well-spoken and intelligent baseball figures out there. And the conversation was in depth. It was great. It was it's fascinating to hear him talk baseball and the current state of baseball. So if you get a chance, listen to that. All right, I'm done talking. Let's flip this around and take a look at some Hall of Fame postcards that are autographed from my collection. All right, guys, this goes along with my series of showing off my Hall of Fame autos in general. I'm almost at the 200 plateau. Now, keep in mind, there are 351 Hall of Famers, so I have a ways to go and a lot of money to spend, and I don't know if I necessarily have all the money to spend on those, but we'll see, in the next coming years, who I can add to the collection. But I'm going to be starting a series here shortly that dives into each Hall of Fame class, where I'll be showing those autographs that I have from each respective class, along with some stories about the players. Because really, as I mentioned, being a former reporter, I'm really into the storytelling aspect, and I love just the rich history of baseball. So, obviously we're just a few weeks away from induction weekend, July 27th. We've got a great lineup this year. Ichiro, CC Sabathia, of course, they'll be celebrating Dave Parker and his life, Billy Wagner, and then you've got Tom Hamilton, the announcer, who's going to be honored, as well as Thomas Boswell, a great baseball writer. Okay, so now my non-baseball card items that are autographed by Hall of Famers, they extend to, not only baseballs and Perez Steel items, which I showcased in a previous video, postcards, which I'll showcase today, but then also graded index cards. And that's probably actually my biggest chunk, along with baseball cards, of Hall of Fame autographs. But let's focus on the postcards today. So the first one I'm going to show is slightly a joke, but this is Rick Farrell. And the funny thing about this is the only non-graded postcard that I have. I won this at a card show when I believe I was either 10 or 11 years old. It was kind of the door prize at a local card show in New York, and I've kept it ever since. I probably didn't take the best care of it, simply because the auto is starting to fade a little bit. I did, as you'll see, replace it with a graded version. When it comes to graded, I just obviously want the authentication aspect of it, but I like it encased. I like to make sure that it's protected, but I thought it would be nice to show this one off as a start. All right, moving on. We've got 2018 inductee, one of my all-time favorite players, Mr. Chipper Jones. And I love these pieces because, obviously you get the Hall of Fame plaque, but you get a story. You get words to go along with the autograph, and that really what it comes down to. If I like the index cards because it's easy access to be able to get some of these Hall of Famers and their signatures. But first and foremost, I'm a lover of baseball cards and words. So anytime that I can get an autograph that's represented along with a narrative about the player, I'm all on board. This is what these postcards look like, as most of you guys know. Crisp signature by Chipper. You've got George Brett, and apologies for the glare here. Let me see if I can just reposition this a little bit. So you got George Brett, one of the all-time greats. How about Negro League star Judy Johnson? Best wishes, Judy Johnson. One of the greatest third basemen, arguably ever, definitely in the Negro Leagues. All right, another best wishes. This one is Lloyd Wayner. Lloyd was inducted in 1967. Little Poison. This one is a somewhat recent pickup. Burley Grimes. And the thing that always interests me with these, so Burley Grimes was inducted in 1964, and you can see you only got a little bit of copy here. Now you compare that to, I mean, Burley Grimes, you get one of the great spitball pitchers, which is funny within itself. Won 270 games, lost 212 for 7 major league clubs, 5 20 victory seasons, won 13 in a row for Giants in 1927, managed Dodgers in 1937 and 38, lifetime ERA of 3.52. All right, then you get Chipper Jones. I mean, they beefed up the copy big time. They hired a decent copywriter, switch-hitting lineup centerpiece during the Braves' dynastic seasons of the 1990s and 2000s. Among players who were primarily third basemen, retired as the all-time leader in runs scored and driven in, batted better than 300 from both sides of the plate during 19-year career, totaling 468 homers, 1,623 RBIs, and 8 All-Star Game selections. First overall pick in the 90 draft, fueled Braves to 1995 championship as dynamic rookie, hit 45 home runs in 99 NL MVP season, and won 2008 batting crown with 364 average, only switch hitter in history with at least a 300 batting average, 400 on-base percentage, and 500 slugging percentage. So, I mean, you can clearly see the difference. If it's funny, if you can go back, I subscribe to Joe Posnanski's it used to be Substack, but I've got a yearly subscription to that. He did a deep dive into the writing of the plaques, and it was just fascinating. And he actually, I think, went through the process of rewriting it, especially for some of these older guys. Really, really entertaining. All right, continuing with the lineup here, we've got Bill Terry, 1954 inductee. Here's one of my favorites, Sam Rice. I really like this one. The signature is not the greatest, but really wanted to pick up a Sam Rice auto. 1963 inductee. He's probably best known in Hall of Fame circles as being 13 hits shy of 3,000. He was a fantastic player, but also one thing that really sticks out is the personal stories behind the Hall of Famers. And if you want to talk about a personal story that's just truly horrific, look up Sam Rice's story. I mean, just absolute tragedy. Before he made the majors, he was kind of bouncing around professional teams. I think it was like 2 or 3 years before he made it into the majors. He lost his wife, his 2 children, his parents, and his sisters in 1912 to a horrific tornado. I think it was in Illinois, but all at once. I mean, I think I read something that he ended up going to 2 separate funerals, one for his wife and children, and then the other for his parents. And I mean, you can't even imagine just the absolute like resiliency to be able to make the majors after that. Went on to have an amazing career, but what a terrible tragedy, and what a background story. So there's Sam Rice. All right, another one of my favorites, James Cool Papa Bell. Arguably the fastest man to have ever played baseball. EuroLeague star from 22 to 50. Love that. Played 29 summers and 21 winters of professional baseball. All right. Next up is Ford Frick, founder of the Baseball Hall of Fame, president of the NL, and then commissioner of baseball. Again, like not a huge write-up here. All right. There's Rick Farrell. This is my upgraded version. As you can see, nice bold signature there. Then we've got Lee McPhail. one. And then we've got Travis Jackson. Really like the signature on this one. One of the best nicknames ever in baseball. Stonewall Jackson. But seriously, one of the best shortstops, defensive shortstops ever. And then we've got White Hoyt. Schoolboy. He was inducted in, I think was it 69? Yeah, 69. One of the most successful Yankees pitchers. All right, then we got the architect behind the Braves of the 90s, John Schuerholz, with the Hall of Fame 2017 inscription. This one is a Gem Mint 10, but I mean, I just bought it for Schuerholz. Sorry about that glare, guys. We've got Joe McCarthy. Inducted in 1957. We've got Earl Averill. .318 career average. Earl was inducted in 1975. Mr. Ted Lyons, inducted in 1955. Getting to the end here, I know this is a long video, guys. Don Drysdale, severely underrated pitcher, inducted in 1984. Over 2,400 strikeouts. Won the Cy Young in 62. Great pitcher. All right, and last but not least, like I said, the postcard collection for my Hall of Famers is not as robust as the index cards and the Perez Steel, and obviously the baseball cards as well. So we'll get to those in future videos. But last but not least is this Joe DiMaggio. Nice blue signature there. Love it. And of course, they start his plaque off with the 56-game hitting streak, naturally. Joe was inducted in 1955. So obviously I'm looking to continue to add to the postcard collection because I just like the look of it. I love having the plaque. I love having the words included there. And I might overlap a little bit. I mean, I might have a baseball card autographed by a Hall of Famer, but also still get the postcard autographed. And the same goes for Perez Steel as well. So really happy with the start I have here to this portion of my collection. And that's really it for now. But this week, I'm planning actually quite a few videos leading into next week as well. I'll have a big mail day video. I already have like 15 things here and I've got more on the way. I've kind of gotten eBay crazy recently, and then I've got an unconventional box break video, which is really something that I don't do, but I thought it was very fitting given this week is leading into All-Star Weekend and then the All-Star Game right here in Atlanta Tuesday. Tried to get tickets to both the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game, and I could have pulled the trigger, but I don't know. Sometimes it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to be there in person, but then also it's nice from the comfort of my couch and not trying to deal with all the logistics of trying to figure out who's going to watch the kids and can we, my wife and I, step away from work. We'll see. Maybe the next time it comes around, we can bring the kids. They'll be of age. So yeah, anyways. Thank you guys. We'll also have the new Hall of Fame series I mentioned as well, leading into the next week or so. But I really appreciate you guys watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know which of these postcards is your favorite. And if you've been to Cooperstown, I want to hear about your experience. Leave a comment below and we'll go from there. All right, take care and we'll see you guys next time.